Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Ursula, and we are here today on the Galactic Astrology Podcast. And the founder of the podcast, Julia Balaz, is also joining. And as many of you know, Julia created this incredible certification program for those who heard the call that galactic astrology was something that was near and dear to their heart. And there's a program. So today we are celebrating Shannon Rooney, and Shannon is based in the United States in North Carolina. So congratulations, Shannon. And hi, Julia. Isn't this fun?
Well done, Shannon. So good to see you here. Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
There's something very auspicious about this date, because when we looked galactically, the star that is calling out and is conjoining our beautiful sun named Soul is none other than Orion constellation's Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse. It is a marker for success. And Shannon, I'm sure that today's conversation will have some type of auspicious success to share with others who are now tuning in. So how about that? This beautiful star, Betelgeuse, is joining us.
I love it. Yes. Today's 20th of June, 2023. We are reaching the solstice point, almost there. So really powerful, almost like a portal experience where it's easier for us to tune into higher realms, other dimensions, and bring in beautiful wisdom through to help us evolve and move through this life experience. So it's so wonderful to connect with you, Shannon, and learning about your story today.
Thank you. And just to add to the day, it's like Polaris is conjunct as well.
The North Star.
Yes.
That's right. Yes. It is. Wow. So we have Betelgeuse and Polaris. It's even more auspicious. And I love how, Julia, you brought in this layer of when we learn how to work with the stars in the heavens and how we're, as human beings on a timeline, we can embrace this energy. So Shannon, we'd love to hear about your story, about how did you come upon your own spiritual path and awakening?
Yes, well, it started really like 2017, kind of really fast forwarded my spiritual journey. I've always been interested in knowing myself, how we're all connected. I've always, even when I was 15, I remember thinking, like looking up at the sky and looking at the stars, like we're all connected, like everything's connected. Didn't have the words, didn't have the language, didn't have the understanding. So it kind of followed me throughout life. In 2017, I got to a point in like March where I was like, what is going on? Like, why do the same like relationships in my life keep cycling through? And I was like, oh my goodness, it's me. I'm the common denominator. So let me discover and figure this out. And I had such a deep calling at that time that was almost like obsessive. I was reading books, I was watching videos, like Greg Braden, Eckhart Tolle, Abraham Hicks, Alan Cohen, just studying all of these teachers and going within and discovering like, who am I? Like, why am I here? What is all this about? And just so engaged and getting so many messages and feeling so connected, and it just kept expanding. And then, so the astrology side in 2019, in February, Aries, Chiron went into Aries direct, and that's my return. And almost to the date, I went through a spiritual awakening. I was watching a YouTube video, Muji, and I was getting ready for bed, and a gentleman in the audience was asking a question, and Muji looked at him and said, "You're looking out here for the answer, and I'm looking at you as the answer." And that just, everything clicked, and everything, I was like, oh my goodness, it's me. Like, I'm creating all of this. We are co-creating in life. Jesus quotes started coming to me like in that moment, and for the weeks following, like, forgive them for they know not what they do. I was blind, but now I see. And I'd never followed really like the Bible or Jesus. It just was so strong, like in my presence. And what I thought of when I heard, forgive them for they know not what they do, was like, for me or all of us, we're just getting by in life kind of blindly, not really connected to ourselves, not really connected to love, but here to learn these lessons. So after that, I started opening up more. I knew I wanted to be a spiritual coach. I didn't know how. And I think 6 months after that, I was like, I want to be a coach. It just came to me. And a couple of days later, I Googled A Course in Miracles. And I came across Alan Cohen, whose books I had been reading. And he was having a course on how to be a spiritual life coach. So I signed up, and it happened to be, he was in Hawaii and I was in Northern California at this time. And he was having the retreat part of the 6 months course in Point Reyes, which was 33 miles away from my house. So that took place in September. I did the course. I had a very, like, at the level of like success, I had a very successful career. I had a very successful job. I was making really good money. I loved the environment that I was working in. I was a director of operations for a medical aesthetic spa, and I worked directly with the owner, who allowed me to bring my coaching on as part of my position in the company. It was great. It was perfect. It was a perfect fit. It was like beauty. It's like with the inside and the outside, it seemed to match really well. After completing the coaching and starting coaching, I decided in January of 2020 that I was going to surrender to divine guidance. Whatever it was, I was just going to surrender and let spirit guide me. And shortly after that, I bought a house in Montana, quit my job, moved in March of 2020 up to Montana when the world closed down. I was the only person on the road driving from California to Montana. And pretty much my only company was my dogs. And I saw about 75 hawks along my way, just guiding me. They were almost standing on every other telephone pole or electric pole, like saluting me. It was so incredible. And it was so beautiful. I just knew I was going in the right direction, and it gave me the confidence and the belief, just the will to keep surrendering to divine guidance. So I moved up to Montana, was still coaching, starting over, starting my life, thought that's where I was going to end up because that's where I was born. It was like a full circle, and it ended up being a 15-minute just full retreat of getting to know myself on a deeper level, really guided to really know what unconditional love is. Like, what is unconditional love? I know it's within, but meeting all of my fears, meeting my ego, and discovering who I am. Again, 15 months after moving to Montana, I sold my house on pure guidance, and I hit the road with my 2 dogs, and I traveled to the East Coast, not knowing where I was going, and I ended up in North Carolina, in Asheville. I was here for like 10 minutes, and I was like, this is where I'm going to live. I was in escrow 3 days later, after it was 2021, in July of 2021, where the real estate market was insane. Everybody was going way over asking price. My realtor that I found was like, don't be disappointed. It's going to take a couple months. Like, it's just be patient with this. And I was like, no, my house is already picked out. And sure enough, 3 days later, I was in escrow in the house that I'm in now. And for the first time, feeling like this is absolutely where I belong. And I would not have done that if I did not surrender to divine guidance and just allow spirit to lead me. So after that, then it keeps coming, like more and more started building. I thought I was done. I thought I'd made it. I thought my healing journey was over. My awakening, I'd gone through all the ups and downs of that. And I met somebody that ended up what I now know as a twin flame. I went through then a Kundalini awakening and really facing this other individual that is like meeting yourself in another human form. I didn't really understand it. At that time, I came across Julia's Galactic Astrology, and I immediately signed up for the course. That I knew that that was part of my journey, part of what I was going to be doing in the future. That is where I am, just exploring through. I was in denial a lot about the twin flame journey. So what I was reading and coming across online wasn't really resonating, and I had my doubts because I knew from all the studying of, like, I've studied A Course in Miracles, I've studied the raw materials, the law of one, that everything's within. So I was like, okay, this is my twin flame. This is to meet myself, the masculine and the feminine, to balance that. So I kind of ignored the relationship with the other person and just focused on myself. Yet there was, as within, so without. I was like, okay, there's more to it. I'm giving the attention to myself, but also not honoring the twin flame union and the twin flame experience, and like the healing that comes with it, and the deeper lessons of unconditional love. And through that, I started with the galactic charts. I started doing Excel spreadsheets because I've always been fascinated with just relationships with ourselves and relationships with others. And I started putting together the Excel sheets and how we match, like the aspects, the fixed stars, and then the synastry. So whether it's like vertex, conjunct sun, and just matching those in different charts. And then I started matching them in mine and this person that I'm experiencing this with charts. And I was just blown away. And this was in October. And I think there was 15 out of the 18 alignments that matched in different aspects. And I knew I was onto something, but it took me from October until May, again, to get to the guidance of like, oh, this is how you're going to help other people. This is a way in which you're going to help others. Because I had my coaching career, I've been coaching individuals and creating courses for them. And I was like, oh, this is another level of what I'm going to be doing with the Galactic Astrology. And what inspired me to finish and complete my certification is because I was like, oh, this really shows the story of the twin flame union. And I know so many people are having this experience, and it's very traumatic to so many, that I knew that I could be of service and to help with this information.
Thank you for sharing all that. Throughout, as I was listening to your story, I keep hearing the 4 stages of consciousness. Like, your story is such a beautiful example of, first stage was when you lived your life through the state of consciousness where life is happening to me. You experience that, and everything is just kind of like you're a product of your environment. And then you had that epiphany moment, surely when there are some transits that support the awakening of consciousness, where you become more aware of the choices that are there that you didn't see before, and opportunities that you didn't see before. And that's when you stepped into the experience of life is happening, for me. Life is happening for me is the second stage, right? Like, oh my goodness, there is, I have a choice here, and I am empowered to move, to manifest my life differently than what it used to be. Like, if I just look within myself, I can take responsibility for what is happening outside of me, and then kind of based on the feedback you're getting from your manifestations, from your reality, you tweak something inside you, shift the perspective, change your core belief system, and suddenly you are creating different manifestations. And then you had other stages. We have other stages where we have life is happening through me, and then life is happening as me. And they are so, so magical. And just hearing the experience of you driving hundreds of miles and seeing the hog stop off the way. And interestingly, today I was sunbathing for like half an hour, just recharging my energy this morning, and there was just this amazing hog right above for maybe 5 minutes cruising around. So it's so interesting when we had different I think it was Becca, when we had Galactic Ambassadors podcast, her strong connection was bee, Queen Bee, and connection to Hathor. And that day of her podcast, there was this most unusual bee that came into my reality. So it's so amazing how we're interconnected, and life truly is magical. I mean, you look for signs, you find them everywhere. So what an incredible inspirational journey. And I love the researcher, scientist inside you, looking at data, comparing information, and then just that experience of seeing, oh my goodness, there it is, the validation, that there's such healing and clarity and guidance in all that. So when I saw your website, where you chose to kind of follow that natural curiosity of yours and passion, and building on what you've experienced so profoundly, choosing that as a niche for your Quantum Soul Guidance sessions, where you help others find validation and clarity through looking at synastry and using galactic astrology for that, it just makes my heart sing. Thanks for following that.
Might be a good time then for us to share Shannon's website. You can find it at shannonlrooney.com. I love it. She calls it the upside. Connect to your soul. But the most amazing and interesting piece for me is learning how to understand yourself through relationship, either twin flames, soulmates, or family readings. So this is something that, we call it synastry, right? When you start looking at, as Shannon was mentioning, how have I known this other person, whether they're the most annoying or they're the most loving, or they happen to be your child, or your ex, yes, or your current spouse, so we're just a product of so much of our relationships. And if you like the idea that we do reincarnate in the same like soul family groups, good to get to know who you've been traveling with. So I'm scrolling down on Shannon's site called The Upside, Quantum Soul Guidance Reading. So Shannon, help us understand this. This is, if you click here, you'll get to know more about a twin flame reading. Help us understand this beautiful menu of soulmates, family, or twin flame through a galactic lens.
Absolutely. I have been using it. I haven't been offering it, but I've been using it with my current clients just to help to understand themselves more, but also to help them understand relationships more. One, as we talked about, like twin flames is probably one of the most challenging relationships out there. There's so much information, as with everything. It can be misleading. It can be difficult to experience. And so the big part of me completing my certification and becoming a practitioner is to use this as a tool to validate the twin flame union. But also I think that for me, the twin flame experience is to know ourselves with unconditional love and to know others with unconditional love. And when we do that, we're able to look at all with unconditional love. And that has been my guiding, what guides me as our relationships with others, because there's so much in society conditioned love. There's so much we have to have standards, we have to have expectations. There's so much protecting ourselves from love. So I feel very passionate about finding ways to help people embrace love with no conditions, with no expectations, with allowing ourselves and the ones we love to be as they are, and accepting ourselves and accepting the ones that we love as themselves. And I think as we're transitioning into, if you want, like a new earth, fourth density, like those lessons, a deeper understanding of love. So that is my passion. It's what drives me. It's what I can say on the computer and analyze for hours when I'm doing research with the galactic astrology to help individuals, whether it's a twin flame relationship, whether they want to know if it's a soulmate, or again, that insane person, like why? Because in the galactic astrology, the opposition and the squares, I mean, to me, like there's just as much love there as the harmonious relationships, because we chose to reincarnate together to annoy one another. to find love and to meet each other with love. Like, those are the golden lessons to me. So it fits so perfectly when I like let everything settle. As I was saying before, I really sat on it for 6 months, and then I reached out to a twin flame coach to share what I had found. And she has a podcast on twin flames, and she's been, you know, focused on this healing journey. And she was blown away, like, oh my goodness, this might be the only thing that really validates this union. And there's so much healing in that. And when we heal ourselves and we get to heal others, and it just fits perfectly to our journey into a new earth. That is the inspiration, and that's what I offer, and the passion behind the offerings.
I can't help, but I just have to keep smiling, starting to get sore cheeks here. But I know what you're saying, and I can see how much potential there is. And as you will continue focusing on this particular area, you will find so much information through astrology, through incorporating fixed stars into this work. I'm really cheering on for your journey ahead, and we'll look forward to the information that you will bring through, because there is such a treasure box there, and that truly so much healing can come through. Because I recall clients, before they see something validated black on white, there's just this constant, you almost make yourself insane thinking about, is this real? Am I imagining it? Is it some kind of conditioning? Is it like, am I in denial here? It's so draining energetically when you don't have the proof or validation that brings you comfort and peace and relaxed state and clarity that can come then through something like astrology, where you see the connections clearly there, like it's so obvious. And further guidance through, based on the houses or the archetypes and the aspects. Like, there is such really precise guidance that can come through that. And when you couple it with experience and intuition that you bring to the table, and I mean all the work that you had previously through all the research you've done with the Course in Miracles and the Law of One, it's such a beautiful, neutral, high vibrational perspective of enlightened teachers that you then stream through naturally, because you exposed yourself to it for so long. Like, it's such a beautiful combination that you're bringing here. So grateful for you.
And thinking, like, in the course was like it put all the pieces together. Like, it happened. I mean, there's no denying, like, it all happened perfectly, because right when I came into this union and started experiencing this, I started your course. And then to, like, right at the perfect timing, I came across, like, again, identifying that soul connection. And now it's, again, like, being ready to share this with others. It's so, again, validating and comforting, because it can be a very, as with everything, it can be an isolating and very self-judged journey. It's like you said, like, am I really seeing this? Is this real? And we are not yet there with our intuition and understanding ourselves, that we still require the validation. And to me, the galactic, the more I analyze and the more I look at, like, all the alignments and do the work, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the story of creation, is through the work that you've done. And so I honor you, and I have to thank you for that. And I think there's just so much potential for so many different ways to use the galactic astrology, that it's really exciting to be a part of it.
Oh, absolutely. One thing that is coming through is also looking at the transit in that synastry. You can really understand the cycles of that relationship, and you can leverage the knowledge that you gain through galactic astrology and really transform the relationship to incredible levels. Shannon, as you've mentioned, the story of creation that you see reflected in the galactic astrology clues, I know you have been working on a new course that you might be launching soon, called Co-Creating with All That Is. And just before you tell us more about it, when you emailed me, you said in a paragraph that you had this epiphany moment, realizing that at our core, the galactic center is our core. and that it was such a profound experience for you. When I read that, immediately I had to go and look at your chart, and I was like, where's Galactic Center in her chart? And of course, it's on your ascendant. So that means when you were born, the Galactic Center and all the amazing stars that are so powerful that are within its proximity were rising. So it's such a powerful influence on your life, on your consciousness, on your immediate experience. No wonder that you feel it profoundly at your core, at our core. Do you want to tell us more about co-creating with all that is course?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. First, I went to, it was like 3 weeks ago when I was like, I'm going to finish my certification. I was sitting at the computer and I just looked down like at my stomach, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's the Galactic Center. It's within us. And we know this, so just to feel it within, it was so empowering. And so like, oh, there it is. Like, this is it. And it to me, it was like, I can teach this to others. Like, I've been coaching, and I do have clients going through the co-creating with all that is. And it's, again, something that's been divinely guided. It's like, I can, when I'm creating courses or doing any work, like when I'm in ego, I get stuck. I'm like, oh, okay, wait, you're in ego. So then I just like, I say, thank you for showing up. Like, I will let spirit in now. And then it just flows through. So with taking people through this course, I can feel spirit so strongly within myself and within them. And they're with clients that I've been coaching for a while, and they've just transitioned. I can feel their energy. They're connecting to their higher self. I used to connect to their higher self during coaching calls. Now with the course, I'm feeling them like their highest self all the time, and they're opening up in ways that are just remarkable. So I know, like, spirit's doing the work. I know as the veil's getting thinner, that it's easier for more and more people to connect to their souls, to connect to their higher selves. So the course is really teaching them everything that I've learned and all of my studies that I've mastered. Like, in A Course in Miracles, the Law of One. I think the greatest teaching from a Law of One is first to know thyself. Second, to accept thyself. Third is to look in the mirror and see the creator. Fourth is to look out and see all as creation. And that is what's like that I'm doing now, and I'm able to bring that work to others, and I'm able to see them knowing themselves, accepting themselves, and seeing the creator. And it's just been miraculous and beautiful. So thank you for bringing that up. And it's spirit coming to life. It's all of who we are coming to life. It's knowing ourselves as within and so without. That has such a different meaning to me now, because it is about knowing ourselves first, then we know others. We know the truth of who everyone else is. But that's what the course is about.
Well, I would just add that what you're demonstrating for me, Shannon, is this idea of complete surrender. I mean, who goes from a job to thinking I should move back home to, oh, I feel a calling to go travel all the way across from the West Coast to the East Coast, and then setting up this portal of light, and again, surrendering to moving from the ego base, which, thank you, we need that ego at times, but then to the allowing and surrendering. And so when, Julia, you also underscored the Galactic Center, it's this, instead of fighting the river, letting that river take us in the divine timing to where it is that we can hold that portal. I mean, North Carolina, you're not in California anymore. So it's phenomenal what I'm hearing you say, and then teaching from that place of also continuing to surrender. So knowing when it's time to shift now to another gear, or and then let's just go bring it back to this whole idea of relationships, twin flames, soulmates. That's so romantic, so people are drawn to this romance of finding the other. And you're going to just blow our minds by saying it's all been a love story but it's about you, dear one.
Yes.
I mean, that's not what we want to hear. We want to hear, I want to meet my twin flame. But do I really?
But we get like, that's, to me, it's like, that's a as within, so without. We get to do both. And I think like it is romance, but the love we are looking for is within. It is us. We are looking for ourselves, and that's the true love story. And you are right. People don't always want to hear that yet. That's how we get the true love story, is when we find it within first.
I also want to point out your Pluto conjunct the supergalactic center. Am I correct? Let me just double check that. Yes, Pluto conjunct the supergalactic center. Your Pluto is in high degrees of Virgo in the 9th house. And I feel it's such a beautiful validation to what we've been talking about when we talked about the super cosmic points, when the supergalactic center is all about relationships, mastering relationships. If it's true early Libra, it's really about others, me, myself, and I, and the others, and how that plays out. But with you, also Virgo energy coming through your Pluto as a kind of generational planet, it's about, like, you clearly are passionate about acquiring knowledge, wisdom, expertise, and then use it to support another. So it's such a beautiful merging of the two paths of the mind, but also the heart coming together. And literally the supergalactic center, whenever we integrate that frequency of this powerful higher octave of divine, of source, it's all about mastering relationships. So I think you are such a powerful teacher that can bring transformational, activating experience. And you're clearly doing that when we look at your clients' reviews. So such a beautifully aligned path. And I hope many more blessings are ahead of you. With Jupiter, I believe, being your strongest planet and the greatest blessing in your chart, sitting on the 11th house, conjunct the Alpha Centauri star. It's all about working with the collective and supporting higher ideals, higher goals, evolution of the entire planet. So I'm just so grateful that you were following your guidance, and that you came to our community, and just bringing additional beautiful collaborative information through everything you've learned, weaving it together and making something unique that is so perfect for this time, as people are getting more and more hungry to know, to get a much expanded view of who they are and their connection to others through the galactic alignments too. So yay, so happy to see that the ascension is happening worldwide.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. It's
been really good. This is probably a great place to ask you about the future, Shannon. Like, I'm hoping you come back sometime and tell us what you found in your research, especially with relationships and families. And did you find those crossover star families in some of your clients' charts? So that'll be fun. Maybe even a year from now, like, what did you find, Julia? Really.
Oh, I've already found it. I've already found it.
Oh.
I've already found the parents that one child is more like the father and one child is more like the mother. You can see there's a stronger soul connection within the charts
through the fixed stars.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can see it. It just matches up beautifully, and you can also match up where the challenging and the opposition is, and to be able to share that with clients and have them meet that with love and understanding, because oftentimes guilt comes with that relationships because one child is more harmonious and the other one is more challenging. And when you're able to share that and have them see there's just as much love with both. And they incarnated, I shared this earlier, to really to meet that with love and to meet every moment with love. So the future is bringing more families to that deeper understanding of accepting the love that is already there, that has been challenging for so many generations to see that. And there's been so much trauma that has been infused in that confusion So the future is harmonizing more relationships that were once challenging and bringing together, anchoring in the unconditional love that is within all of us.
I'm so excited for all the healing that will come to the families that will be guided to book their family reading with you, and how much can be prevented in terms of, you know, too much pressure on a child from a parent pushing through the old rigid ways. But then you'll explain, hey, they will never listen to that because they respond to something different. You need to find what you are teaching each other. The child is teaching you, for example, that the previous generation's way of parenting is not healthy, it's not loving, it's not effective. So they will keep resisting it. And that's why that square is there. So you need to release that and kind of make peace with your own suffering through being parented that way, as one example of many. I'm sure you can talk more about that. So wonderful to do this.
Thank you. And like really quickly, it's already like parents that I've taken through this with the family readings are now navigating differently with their children, thinking differently about the schooling they need, and thinking differently about the relationship, and seeing the child for who the child is. It's highly rewarding for the parents. It's eye-opening. It's so beautiful. So again, this galactic astrology, the quantum soul guidance is so important for our future.
Yeah, I will celebrate you for the rest of the day and ongoing. May you be blessed, and people that'll be guided to you. I hope this will reach the right people at the right time. Thank you, Shannon, and super well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Shannon. My last little bit would be to say, you're actually offering us a glimpse of the future by your readings. Because if you think about it, when we pass into beyond the veil, drop our bodies, on the other side, we're so loving and in bliss, and we rejoin with our family members. What you're saying is you can do this now in 3D. You don't have to wait until you're on the other side to understand that. Why was that so horrible or traumatic? And why was that person that way? You can actually find out and kind of transmute it here in this third dimensional experience. I think the potency is really about a paradigm shift that you're offering us. Like, looking at these relationships and going, wow, I can really tune into this idea of whom do I really unconditionally love? Do I even unconditionally love myself? I mean, there's so many layers to, I think, what you're offering. So I applaud you for bringing in this new way of how to sit well with ourselves and our relationships. Not a small task, right? So thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Well done. Much love to you all.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time. Cheerio.
Thank you.